All right, buckle up. Today, we're diving deep into Eco Challenge.
Eco Challenge.
Yeah, Eco Challenge. Your notes and articles basically paint this picture of this insane adventure race that kind of like gave birth to reality TV.
Oh, wow. I'm intrigued.
But it's more than just, a history lesson. We're talking about a show that really captured that like raw, pure spirit of adventure.
At a time when everybody was like craving it, right?
Exactly.
It's wild how Eco Challenge just popped up at this like perfect moment. You had adventure sports exploding, people pushing their limits in ways we'd never seen. And at the same time, TV was starting to experiment with like unscripted stuff, real life drama.
So Eco Challenge wasn't just riding the wave, it was like creating the wave.
Totally. And they didn't just show athletes competing, they threw in these brutal landscapes, like it's seriously intense.
It was part of the challenge, right?
Absolutely. And that's where Mark Burnett, the guy who created it, was so brilliant. He also went on to create Survivor. Yeah, but with Eco Challenge, he understood that the landscape, the place itself, it could be a character in the story. He wasn't afraid to show how beautiful, but also how dangerous nature could be, and how it could, like, make or break even the toughest people out there.
Okay, so paint me a picture here. What made these places so uniquely challenging?
Oh, man, we're not talking about your average obstacle course here. Teams were trekking through deserts, climbing mountains, navigating crazy rivers.
Sounds intense.
And forget GPS. They were using old-school maps and compasses. Added a whole other level of difficulty and risk, for sure.
I bet. Makes you think, like, what kind of skills did you even need to survive something like that?
You needed way more than just, like, physical strength. Mental toughness was huge. Being able to adapt, to know your own limits, and teamwork, oh, man, teamwork was everything. You had to rely on each other, communicate, and, like, solve problems together when things got really rough.
Wow, it's like more like a military operation than a TV show. Speaking of the show, our listeners send us their notes and articles about Eco Challenge, so they're obviously interested. What do you think drew them to this topic?
That's a great question. It would be fascinating to hear what their personal connection to the show is. Were they like a diehard fan? Did they like dream of competing themselves? Or maybe they just like stumbled upon it recently and got hooked on the nostalgia.
Right. Or maybe it sparked some new interest in adventure races. Like, what would you tell someone who was inspired by Eco Challenge to kind of push their own limits?
I'd say start small, but dream big. You don't have to like climb Everest to get that thrill of adventure, Find something that challenges you, pushes you out of your comfort zone. Hiking a new trail, trying a new sport. The important thing is to embrace that spirit of exploration. That's what Eco Challenge was all about.
I love that. Start small, dream big.
Yeah.
I got to remember that one. But yeah, you don't have to be a world-class athlete to find adventure. There's so many ways to do it.
Exactly. And, speaking of finding adventure, Eco Challenge wasn't just about pushing human limits. It was about showcasing the power and fragility of nature.
Oh, totally. They were racing through these pristine, untouched environments, and you couldn't help but appreciate them.
It wasn't just mindless entertainment. They were subtly weaving in this message of environmental awareness. Remember, this was the 90s. The environmental movement was getting huge. Eco Challenge gave it a platform, showing millions of people the beauty of these far-off corners of the world.
That's a good point. It's like they were saying, hey, look at this amazing planet. We got to protect it. Did they ever, actually talk about conservation? Or was it more like showing the landscapes and letting viewers come to their own conclusions?
It was more subtle, more about, embedding that appreciation for nature into the whole story of the race. But maybe that approach was even more effective. Instead of preaching, they were showing, letting the landscape speak for themselves.
It's funny how sometimes showing is more powerful than telling. But yeah, you're right. That message of environmental awareness is even more important today than ever.
It is.
We're facing some serious environmental challenges. And it makes you think about the whole impact of adventure tourism.
Yeah.
Can we explore these amazing places without, leaving a footprint?
That's the question, isn't it? Eco Challenge, in its own way, was dealing with that tension. Celebrating adventure and exploration, but also highlighting how important it is to protect these delicate ecosystems.
You can't help but wonder if watching Eco Challenge, actually inspired people to be more eco-conscious, to travel in a more responsible way.
Oh, for sure. The show had this way of connecting you to nature. You felt like you were right there with the teams, feeling the beauty, the challenges. And that kind of experience, it can definitely shift your perspective.
Totally. Okay, we talked about the impact on reality TV and the environment, but let's bring it back to the show itself. Eco Challenge also had a huge impact on reality TV.
Absolutely. Think about it. The team dynamics, the interviews, the dramatic editing, all stuff we see in reality TV today.
And it wasn't afraid to show the human side of competition.
Yeah, it was real, it was relatable. You saw these ordinary people pushed to their limits, and it made you question what you were capable of yourself.
Totally. And it wasn't always pretty. You had moments of triumph, but also exhaustion, frustration, even heartbreak. It wasn't all sunshine and roses.
Right, and that rawness, that authenticity, that's what made it so appealing.
Okay, before we go too far, I got to bring up this fun fact from our research.
Oh.
Did you know Lance Armstrong actually competed on Eco Challenge before he was, famous for cycling?
Oh, really? That's wild. It's crazy to think how many future stars might have gotten their start on that show.
It really is. And you can't deny its impact on reality TV as a whole.
Yeah.
Eco Challenge wasn't just a show. It was a cultural phenomenon that, changed TV forever.
It really did.
But speaking of changing, landscapes, Eco Challenge wasn't just about, pushing human limits. It was also about showing the power and even the fragility of nature.
Oh, absolutely.
They were going through these totally pristine environments. It really made you see them in a different way.
Yeah, that's such an important point. It wasn't just mindless entertainment, They were kind of sneaking in this message about the environment. Remember, this was the 90s. Environmentalism was really taking off. Eco Challenge gave it a platform, showed millions of people these amazing places.
It's true. It was a different time. So, did they ever actually talk about conservation? Or was it more about just showing the beauty of these places and letting people, figure it out themselves?
It was definitely more subtle, more about kind of weaving that appreciation for nature into the story of the race.
Right.
But honestly, maybe that was even better. Instead of preaching, they were just showing, letting those landscapes speak for themselves.
Yeah, sometimes showing is way more powerful than telling. But you're right, that environmental message is even more relevant now. We're facing some huge environmental challenges. That makes you think about adventure tourism and stuff. Can we explore these awesome places without messing them up?
It's a tough question. Eco Challenge, in its own way, was kind of wrestling with that, celebrating adventure, but also showing how important it is to protect those places.
You can't help but wonder if watching Eco Challenge made people more aware, more conscious of their impact on the environment.
I think so. The show really connected you to nature. You felt like you were right there with the teams, experiencing it all. That kind of thing can change how you see things.
Totally. Okay, so we talked about reality TV and the environment, but let's get back to the show itself. We talked about how it pushed contestants to their limits, right?
Sure.
Physically and mentally. But it also pushed the boundaries of what reality TV could be.
It definitely did. It was raw, unpredictable, and unscripted in a way that felt really new at the time. And it's been fascinating to see how those elements, like that realness, have stuck around as reality TV has changed.
That's so true. It makes you think. Knowing what we know now about the downsides of reality TV, the manipulation, the fake drama, can we still capture that real, authentic spirit that Eco Challenge had, while still making it entertaining, of course?
That's the big question, isn't it? How do you balance those things? You want to show the real struggles, the real triumphs, but you also want to create a story that grabs people, that keeps them hooked.
Yeah, how do you do that without exploiting people or changing their experiences? It's a tough line to walk.
For sure. And Eco Challenge, back in the day, they did a pretty good job of walking that line. They captured the intensity of the competition, the beauty of the places, the emotion, all without feeling fake or manipulative.
Exactly. So what can today's reality TV shows learn from Eco Challenge? Is it about finding people with real stories? Or maybe focusing more on teamwork instead of cutthroat competition?
I think it's all of that. It's about finding that sweet spot between entertainment and authenticity,
Right.
where the stakes are high, but the human connection is even higher.
Right. Maybe it's also about remembering that real life can be just as interesting as any scripted drama. You don't always need all that crazy conflict or over-the-top personalities. Sometimes the best moments just happen naturally when people are pushed to their limits and you see who they really are.
I love that. And Eco Challenge was amazing at capturing those moments. It wasn't just about who won. It was about the whole journey, the resilience, the connections that happened along the way.
Yeah, those are the stories that really stick with you. And I think that's what our listeners really interested in, what made Eco Challenge so special, so unforgettable, and what we can learn from it as we watch reality TV today.
Exactly. It's about looking deeper, understanding the human side of it all, our connection to nature, and how powerful adventure can be.
And that brings us back to you, dear listener. We've, dug into the history, the impact, all that. But what about you? What really stood out in the stuff you sent us?
Yeah, what resonated with you?
Right. Was it the sheer determination of the competitors? Or those incredible landscapes?
Maybe you were fascinated by the behind-the-scenes stuff, how they pulled off such a massive event.
All the logistics and planning.
Seriously, it's mind-boggling. But whatever it was, I'm sure you have a deeper connection to this whole thing.
Okay, so as we wrap up, let's leave you with one last thing to think about. We talked a lot about that line between entertainment and keeping things real.
Yeah, that balance.
Where do you draw that line? Knowing what we know now about reality TV,
How do you celebrate what people can do without, exploiting them?
And how do you tell an engaging story without, twisting the truth?
It's tricky.
Definitely. These are questions worth thinking about, especially now with, so much media out there.
Yeah, it's all around us.
Maybe, just maybe, Eco Challenge can, guide us towards something better, a more authentic way to entertain.
More meaningful, more inspired.
One that celebrates those connections, that resilience, the beauty of nature.
Without, losing that sense of honesty.
That's the key, right?
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Eco Challenge. It's been a wild ride.
It has. Keep exploring, keep pushing yourselves, and who knows, maybe we'll see you out there on the starting line of your own adventure.